What is up, and welcome back to 24 Minutes of A24, the podcast that takes a look at the A24 library 24 minutes at a time. I am Ethan Simi.
And I'm Ben Lawhorn. This week on the pod, we are starting the Oscar season early, baby. Our very first conversation for the 2024 Academy Award season is here as we try to make predictions way too early, just like insanely early, but we're going to do it.
We're going to do it anyway. And here's what makes this so interesting. Now, I know I just lied. I just lied to listeners, to viewers, to everybody right now. And I lied to myself because this is really a preemptive, like, 24 minutes of the Oscars pod. So if you were not listening to the show last year, if you haven't gone back and checked out that season, we kind of made a decision last year that, like, hey, we like the Oscars, and we'll just, like, switch over the feed for maybe a few months and talk about the Oscars. And so we're doing that this year as well, starting in January. We're going to flip over. We're going to be 24 minutes of the Oscars. We're going to have some really fun conversations about the Oscars. We're going to cover all 10 Best Picture nominees, review, talk, chat, a whole shebang. We're going to do reaction pods. We're going to do lots of fun stuff.
Yeah. So
that's going to be our show for like 3 months coming up. But I'm going to be honest, I wanted to start early. I wanted to have this conversation tonight because I just can't wait anymore.
I know it's like just around the corner, but it still seems so far away.
Right.
But we're starting to get the releases. It's starting to get to be Oscar season with these movie releases. So it's a perfect time to just talk about it before. But honestly, we have like a busy rest of the year with A24. Like we have like 5 new movies coming out or something. So this was the perfect time for us to do this.
100%. The Iron Claw just premiered last week. Great reception to that movie. Dream Scenario is going nationwide in a couple of weeks. Really exciting stuff with that. So yeah, we do have our hands full with new A24, so we figured this is a great time to kind of slot in this like Oscars pre-show, if you will.
Yeah.
One other thing that I think is really fun about this, and this show, we're just going to talk about the Oscars. We don't really have a true agenda other than making predictions. We're going to go through 9 specific Oscars categories. We're going to make our predictions for nominations and for winners. That's like our guiding light for this entire episode.
Winners
but what
too?
I think is winners too.
News to me. All right. I'm going to do this on the fly. All right.
Dude, look, I'll vamp for a while. I've got some overarching questions. I'll give you time. Think about this as we go. I need winners.
Unprepared co-host. All right, cool. Cool.
No way I'm predicting just 5 nominees and just be like, toss up. No, I need fucking winners. Yeah. I especially need winners from you. But what I think is really fun about this, and maybe what sets us a little bit apart from other movie podcasts or other Oscars podcasts, we're doing this in the middle of November. Mm-hmm. A lot of these movies have not gone nationwide quite yet. Poor Things, not out. The Color Purple, Poor Things has played at festivals. So if you've been lucky enough to see it, that's awesome. We have not seen it. Not wide. The Color Purple, not out yet. Even to pundits, I believe. The Zone of Interest, not out yet. Maestro, not out yet. The Anatomy of a Fall, still kind of in a limited release. There's lots of things that are not, like, it hasn't had eyes on them yet.
Yeah.
And we especially have not had eyes on them yet. A lot of other people in the industry have gotten the chance to see these films early and have a much more informed decision-making ability. We're just going to wing it, and we're just going to see what happens and what we feel in the moment.
Well, my favorite part, too, is that, like, we have to guess. So we're going to talk about the 10 Best Picture nominations. But by the time we start recording, it's still like 3 weeks before they actually make announcements of the movies. So like our first 3 episodes just have to be guesses. Like we hope that this is a Best Picture nom. I think there are some that kind of feel like they're locks. And so we'll be talking about those. But that is always fun just to be like, okay, good. We got those 3 right. It'll be interesting to see what happens this year.
I think last year, we might have talked about this briefly, but I think on another episode. But last year it was Everything Everywhere All at Once. That was a lock. We knew that. I think we did that for like the first episode because we knew that was happening. Mm-hmm. I feel like Avatar: The Way of Water was in there, but we didn't cover that until late in the season.
Yeah, I have it pulled up. I'm curious if you're going to guess the 3 of them. So Everything Everywhere is correct. And then we had 2 more.
Everything Everywhere, I would say Top Gun Maverick. I feel
what's
like
your other guess?
I feel like that was pretty good. Honestly, I'm so focused on 2024 Oscars, I can't even think of who was nominated last year.
We did your boy Stevie Spiels with this Fablemans.
Oh, the Fablemans, of course, yes.
Remember trying to play that on our draft. And then
that's coming up next week.
A little tease there. And then our friends Leah and Beth Ann from She Will Rock You came on to talk about Elvis, one of my favorite movies.
Yes, Elvis. That was a shoo-in because of the whole Austin Butler saga.
Yeah. So we got those. We figured Spielberg would get nominated. Everything Everywhere had the buzz, and then Elvis was a lock. But this year, I'm curious because it kind of seems like Oppenheimer and Killers, just because of who directed them. But what is this third movie? Is it going to be Barbie? Like the third one to me is the real I don't know. We'll see. Who knows what we're going to pick? Who knows? Nothing has that Elvis buzz or whatever in my mind.
Interesting. Okay. I feel a little bit differently.
Cool.
I'm a little I feel like I'm a little closer to the ground with on this kind of stuff than you are though. So I might be bringing in a little bit more bias.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
Do you remember who got more guesses correct last year at the Oscars? I'm trying to, was it me or you?
Oh my God.
I think
you want to know why? It's because Babylon was fucking robbed, Ben.
I think I won. I think I only got
robbed in front of my own eyes.
I'm glad you're closer to the ground, but up here at the top, we're just observing what we can.
Yeah, how's it feel to be a king among men, huh?
I mean, what can I say?
I wouldn't know because, the right things never win. Yeah, huge fan of All Quiet on the Western Front score. Wow, that's real good stuff. Real killer. So we are going to talk about Best Picture nominees on this show. We're going to give our predictions and our winner prediction as well. But yes, starting in probably 6 weeks, starting in January, we're going to start covering them one by one. I think those three are going to be Oppenheimer, Killers, Of the Flower Moon, and Poor Things.
Okay.
From what I hear, that's like the luck. That's the trifecta of the Best Picture race.
Nice.
How close that race is with those people, who's to say? We'll hash that out. We'll see what we think. So as of today, we're recording. This pod comes out in 2 days on Friday. Today is Wednesday, November 15th. We just got the announcement of who is hosting the 2024 Oscars, and we are back. We're running it back one more time with Jimmy Kimmel. How do you feel?
Bored? I don't know. The same way I felt last year. It's fine. It's safe. It's it is what it is. I know he also has the contractual kind of edge on that, working for ABC, working for Disney, stuff like that. So it makes sense that they would want their host to be the host of the Oscars. They're not going to pull a Golden Globes and get Ricky Gervais or anything like that. So I don't know. It'd be fun if it was someone maybe a little different, but I don't know. We'll see. It's also just we see them at the intro and then they're kind of gone for the rest of the night. So it's not a huge deal, right?
I mean, Kimmel had a great bit with the Banshees donkey last year, only to find out that he lied to everybody. It was not actually the Banshees donkey.
That is true. But
so there's that. He had also a really great bit of Top Gun Maverick, saving cinemas, and then Tom Cruise not showing up at the Oscars. Pretty good. And then the last thing I remember about Kimmel is just the constant firestorm towards Babylon. Just completely unwarranted, to be honest.
I think one of my favorite things about when Kimmel gets hosted, it seems like every year it happens, people learn that he co-hosted The Man Show. They're like, oh my God, this is the guy they're letting host the Oscars.
Time.
You guys, this was 25 years ago. We all knew. Know about this. You're not unearthing new things here. The Man Show was a really weird show, but whatever. What are we going to do?
Here's what I think about the Kimmel thing. And I made a short TikTok, but I want to elaborate on my ideas. I think it's a real double-edged sword for the Academy because we kind of talked about this last year, and I feel like it's just continuing to be a very pervasive problem for the body, is that, yes, Kimmel is a safe choice. He is a smart choice. He knows how to get the job done. Last year, he got the job done. I mean, you even mentioned, he's in the intro and then he kind of goes away. And, isn't that kind of what you want out of a host, right? You're there for the movies. You're there to talk about famous people and the films that they were in and celebrate those things. That's great. You know that he can do it. The other very sharp edge to this sword is that from the Academy's perspective, it does not show any intention of evolution or growth or adopting the modern film cinema community. right? And like what has changed about these things. I'm not necessarily saying like you need to play to like Gen Z and you really need to make 16-year-olds and 19-year-olds interested about the Academy Awards. Like, I don't think that's not going to happen, and that's not the focus here. But the focus should be something along the lines of like, the Oscars were once the core of the culture of like, they were the award show, and they were fun and they were good and people liked them. And then viewership absolutely tanked, and they've been having a very hard time getting it back. So I understand Kimmel being like a smart move, especially after last year of like, hey, let's just regurgitate kind of what we did, give the people what they know, and try to slowly lure people back in. But then, and I'm sure we'll talk about it in this pod, I'm going to talk about it in this pod as we go, of like things like Barbie, things like I'm Just Ken, things like the Oppenheimer, complete takeover of social media and the industry and everything like that. This just feels like they're kind of turning their backs on all of that and just being like, no, we're the Academy. We do it the way we want. And I mean, the great example, The Killer. I don't mean to speak for you, but like, I don't have The Killer anywhere on my predictions list, unfortunately. I love The Killer. I think it deserves definite recognition from the Academy. Is it going to get recognized? No, because they don't recognize Fincher. Like, that's just how that goes. And this just kind of perpetuates that problem, I think, for them. And so I'm really frustrated. I'm okay with it, but I'm also very frustrated.
Yeah, it is a lot of the same, it makes me long for the Oscars like without a host, it's like, let's just jump into it, like I think that could totally work here, but you're right. There are some things that just never change with this body, no matter how diverse and expanded.
And it's more diverse than it was. Like, it's younger than it was. It's more diverse ethnically, racially than it was 5 years ago. But this to me does not feel like a representation of that. And like, I have it here in our questions, and we can like, I want to ask it right now. I'm curious, how many awards will the Academy feel comfortable giving to Barbie? Like, explicitly. I think that's a real interesting juxtaposition that the Oscars find themselves in, because costume design, original screenplay, original song, production design, these are all Best Picture. These are all things that are like up in the air for Barbie and could potentially be nominated or win. It just doesn't seem likely this year that the Academy is going to be like, oh yeah, cool, let's nominate Barbie in 7 categories. Like, that just doesn't seem like the Academy, even if that movie might deserve that kind of recognition. What do you make of like this old guard trying to be under the facade of a new guard, but actually not?
I'm hopeful that they kind of expand and, I don't know, they've done it before horribly, where it's like, hey, let's do most popular movie and let's give it to Black Panther. It's like, no,
Speed
if it's
Force,
like,
baby.
yeah, it's like, if you want to acknowledge a movie, just acknowledge it. Don't give it this like weird thing, So I hope they can recognize like Barbie was like, it was an institution in our summer box office. It's $1 billion. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy, and it deserves some recognition for that stuff. And I hope the body does, but I mean, you've said it. It's just like, it's not something they traditionally would lean towards.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just very apprehensive. And that's, again, like, I'm just very cynical, and I'm just very sour on like the Academy's ability to do cool stuff. I mean, you're talking about like a year where we have John Wick 4, and it's like people are shouting from the mountaintops of like, let's get a best stunt category. We were even mentioning this last year. It's time. It's overdue time. Is there any word from the Academy on that? No. Like, I find it very confounding.
I that's one of my biggest dreams, is that I get to live to see a best stunts. And it's like, these people deserve it. They do so much. So I don't know. We got the 10 movie change, however long ago that was, 15 years now. That's, that's proven to be interesting as well. Maybe not always for the better, but for the most part, it's good to get these movies, I think, some more recognition. But yeah, like, can you imagine the stunts package that, like watching that, like people would be so stoked to see that,
so hyped.
Like, we do live performances, like let's do live stunts, like let's bring them out,
so
like
cool.
From John Wick 4 here, like, yeah, show us the fucking John Wick 4 stunts, like that would be so interesting. Not to take away anything from these people, because it's like great artwork, but it's like we could cut some of these shorts and stuff like that. Like I know they work hard on it. I don't need to think you need to cut everything. Show me everything. Like I'm totally on board. But if it's a time thing and you
Right.
tell people like, hey, you could watch like these clips from 10 short films, or you could watch clips of cool ass stunts from these 5
Yep.
movies. It's like, show me the stunts. I want to see what's going on here.
So this leads me to two interesting conversation topics. I'll start with the lesser of what is important to me, because of course it's all about me on this pod. Speaking of time, it's always a time issue. We sat in a theater for 4.5 hours last year. We watched like a 4-hour show. I don't necessarily have a problem with that. I think that's great. I'm not trying to use this as like a grandstand of like, how do we fix the Academy Awards, even though I know we'll have 3 months of talking about this. So of course this is going to continue to get brought up, especially by me. I think there's very major things that can be done. But if it's a time issue, like, are we looking at another 4-hour show this year? Because the word on the street is always like, we're cutting it down to 2.5. We're doing it. And then it's like 4 hours and 15 minutes later, Kimmel's like, I know we ran over, but here's our best picture nominees. It's like, no shit, dude. You do it we run over every year. So like, how do we solve this problem?
Start it earlier. Who cares?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like get started 2 hours earlier and start with the quote unquote lesser, categories. Mm-hmm. I picture something like, I don't know how they could logistically do this, but my brain goes to wrestling and the Royal Rumble, and it's like on the bottom screen, it's like there's 2 minutes till the next wrestler comes in. It's like,
Genius.
Okay, cool. In 2 minutes, we're gonna find someone else.
Yeah.
So then just be like, in 15 minutes, we're going to original adapted screenplay. So if I don't care about what we're talking about now, it's like, cool, I'll be back in 15 minutes because I'm very curious about that, but I don't care about what's happening right now.
More really transparency for the viewer.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
100%. I think that is super, super smart.
But they run in like Royal Rumble, like everyone runs in, it's like, okay, here they are.
Here we go. Everything.
Just slide on stage. Yeah.
They should definitely do that. I think that is important. I think that's an important thing to bring up, is like, will more transparency to viewership like make things better? Will people be more interested in certain segments or certain parts? Or is it going to be easier? Like, how can I get my dad, who doesn't care about movies and watches 4 movies a year, to be like, oh, cool, the Oscars are on. Like, let's see what kind of movies were made this year. Like, yeah, because he's not tuning in because he knows it's 4.5 hours long and it starts at 7 o'clock. Like, why would he do that? So I think that's really interesting. There was another point of best stunts, getting people up on stage. I'm really curious this year, what are they going to do? So the strike is over. The SAG-AFTRA strike is over.
Yeah.
The Screen Actors Guild won. Fuck yeah, they did it. That means we've got campaigns. That means we've got people able to talk about and promote the things that they are in, especially when it comes to getting ready for the Academy Awards. So it's a big year for original songs or iconic scenes or things like that. Especially, the one at the tip of everybody's tongue is "I'm Just Ken."
Yeah.
Will the Academy lean into that? Do they get Ryan Gosling and Simu Liu and a couple of guys to basically put on a halftime show? Like, are they itching for a cool pop culture moment to assimilate them to the modern movie viewer? Or are they just going to be like, yeah, that was cool in the movie, we don't do that here? Like, I know it's the same question I just asked 10 minutes ago, but like, I'm genuinely curious. I have no idea where they're going with this.
I hope they do. Like, if nothing else, they've got to, in my opinion, leverage social media and a possible viral moment, but don't do it in the sense of like the Flash enters the Speed Force. Don't leave it up to Reddit to vote on shit. We don't need whatever that Mountain Dew, like Hitler did nothing wrong, Mountain Dew. It's like, we don't need that to happen.
We don't need this.
But if you throw the bag at Gosling and Simu Liu and like let them do this, like that would be awesome. People would tune in to watch that. That would be super fun. So just target the right kind of viral moment, and I think it could be an uptick in viewership, even if just momentarily. Mm-hmm.
I do have hope because last year we got Everything Everywhere All at Once. We got David Byrne to perform. We got an RRR kind of rendition. We did get some cool performances that I liked. We got Lady Gaga doing Top Gun Maverick. Like I thought a lot of that stuff played quite well. And I hope they stick to it. And I think that the main thing for me is like, I hope they utilize the fact that every fucking movie star is at this event. Like,
yeah.
they are there. They're in the building. Like you said, like throw a bag at them. Like, get them to do cool shit and like get people to watch. Like, I don't know. I'm not famous. I don't work my ass off on these movies. And I also like don't go to the Academy Awards where like I get handed a gift bag with, my own private island. Like, I'm not part of that world, but like, don't you think on some level, Ryan Gosling right now is like, I really hope the Academy calls me up because I will, I will dance the shit out of I'm Just Ken on stage and just totally enjoy that moment. That just seems like smart business.
I think so. And I think a lot of these people are friends or friendly at least too. And there's just something about these, actors just in general are extroverted people and enjoy attention, you know? And so like, yeah, let's say, hey, do you want to dance on stage for all this? Like, yeah, I would love to do that. So I think there's plenty of opportunity. I just hope they play it right and, entertain us.
100% agree. Okay. I do hope it's an entertaining 2024 Oscars. We have 9 categories that we are going to go through. We're going to start at the bottom of the list. We're going to work our way to Best Picture.
Okay.
You good with that?
Yeah. I'll pick a winner.
You ran out of vamp time, so I hope you have winners coming up. Here's the 9 categories that we are going to predict right now. Best Picture, Best Director, Best Lead Actor, Best Lead Actress, Best Supporting Actor, Best Supporting Actress, Best Original Screenplay, Best Adapted Screenplay, and Best Original Score. We're not going to be talking about Best Editing. We're not going to be talking about Best Original Song, not Best Short. I don't have Best Animated Feature on here. That's probably our biggest omission. But I
Ninja Turtles.
Interesting. I think that's less of an interesting category. Do you really think Ninja Turtles gonna win?
Yeah, I hope so. That's the one I want to win.
You had to think about it.
I'm just like, I don't know what else has come out. I know there's like Elemental and Wish is coming out, but yeah, I hope Ninja Turtles gets recognition.
Not Across the Spider-Verse.
Over Spider-Verse. Yeah.
The Boy and the Heron.
I mean, Miyazaki's great, but like, no,
But like Ninja Turtles.
Ninja
agree.
Turtles, man. I like it.
I think that's cool. I like that. I'm a little less invested in that personally. I think I just like don't have a huge interest in like who wins Best Animated. In my opinion, it's probably going to be Across the Spider-Verse, but like that just seems kind of like that's going to happen. Okay, let's start with Best Original Score. We'll start at the bottom here. Now I'm using an app. I think you're using the same. Did you sign up?
Oh, I forgot to fill. Yeah, I've signed up. I forgot to fill it out though. I have mine on a spreadsheet right now, but I'll fill it out. Okay,
so we are both using this app called Gold Derby. So fun, easy to use. Like I'm not promoting. I'm not getting paid to like promo this app, but I find it the easiest to use. And you kind of like you get points for what you predict right, and you can see pretty famous people, like knowledgeable people in this realm predicting things as well. What I don't think they have original score listed on here. So I didn't fill out a Best Original Score nominations.
Okay.
Did you?
Well,
I wrote it on the notes. Okay.
I did my homework.
God, now I'm the guy who didn't do the homework.
Yeah.
Gosh, classic.
Okay, so do you want mine then?
I do. I'm curious yours because I feel like I'll be able to make some decisions on the fly here. I have a pretty good idea of what I want.
All right, I went with Ludwig for Oppenheimer. These are just my nominations. I'll give my 4 noms, then I'll give you my winner last. Ludwig for Oppenheimer, Daniel Pemberton for Across the Spider-Verse, Thomas Newman for Elemental, Michael Giacchino for Society of the Snow. I have no idea what that movie is, but I just saw Giacchino and I was like, I feel like they recognize him.
Got to be in there. Sure.
And then for my winner, I'm going with Robbie Robertson for Killers of the Flower Moon. I think, there is some, with him passing away and just wanting to recognize what's going to be like his last score, I think will play huge. And on top of that, it's just a great score also. Yep. You know what I mean? It is, I'm going to preface this by saying like, I won't be surprised if Oppenheimer gets nominated for 13 things and wins like 11 of them. You know,
Sure.
like Ludwig's score is fucking amazing and probably will win. I'm hoping Robbie Robertson's wins because I feel like Ludwig's got 60 more years to get nominated and do cool shit. This is Robbie
Yeah.
Robertson's last one, last time he's going to work with Scorsese. And I just think it'd be cool for him to get recognized.
So this brings up an interesting topic here because really the only two in play for me are Oppenheimer or Killers of the Flower Moon, both sublime scores. I like the Oppenheimer score better. I listen to it more often. I think it's much more pivotal to the film, even though without that Robbie Robertson score, especially in the first act, you don't get that tonal set that you absolutely need that really ascends in the final act of the film. So this has been known to happen in the past at the Academy as well. And it's been known to fall both ways. When you're talking about posthumous awards.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, we have Chadwick Boseman losing for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom the year that he passes. Does not get the Oscar. And this year, you mentioned Robbie Robertson passed away. And his score will most definitely be nominated. And then I think that kind of ties in a little bit, and we'll save this conversation as we go, but like the Best Picture, Best Director split is like, will Scorsese make another movie on this level? I know that's a dumb fucking question because I'm sure that he will, but will he? He's been known, like The Departed, that was the makeup award, right? Like, so the Academy has been known to like try to admonish their past a little bit in what is happening currently. You think that'll play into the score? You think that that'll be the category that the Academy does say, hey, Oppie's won 10 other things. Robbie Robertson deserves this. Like, let's make sure we recognize where we can things that need to be recognized.
I think so, but I mean, Ludwig is deserving as well. Like, I'm not trying to say he's not, and I know the Academy likes him, so it wouldn't surprise me, but I am hoping, I do foresee Oppenheimer winning so much of what it's nominated for. So this is one that I hope it could be like, yeah, we did finally do the makeup thing for Scorsese in The Departed, but what if we recognize him at the right moment this time? You know, I'm hoping maybe that's involved here, but this isn't even necessarily like a Scorsese thing. You know, this is Robbie Robertson. So yeah, I don't know.
I mean, All Quiet on the Western Front wins over Babylon last year. Like, in my opinion, that's a complete out of left field winner. Like, I just don't, I don't think that should have won. I don't think that was like on the level that Justin Hurwitz was for Babylon. It's very likely that could be this situation one more time. Like it seems like score, at least in my experience, is like, oh, this is locked. And then we get there and it's absolutely not. Like it just goes the other way. So yeah, I totally think you're right. I would not have pegged, like 6 months ago, before seeing either of these films, I don't know if I would have been like, wow, it's going to be a real like showdown between Nolan and Scorsese. Like that thought never would have occurred to me. It seems like that's the boat we're in for this year.
Yeah.
All the way down the board. Like we're talking about score. We're not even talking about like screenplay, best actor, like best director. This is best original score. And it seems like two guys are going to duke it out.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm with you here. And again, like Ludwig, maybe Robbie Robertson wasn't the right choice just because he hasn't even been recognized by the Academy before. Ludwig, you know, at least he's won an Oscar, but I do think
what did he win for? Do you know?
He won for Black Panther.
Okay, right.
He was also nominated for Lift Me Up last year, original song, but not for the score of Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. So those are his two nominations, and he won for Black Panther. So I don't know, maybe Robbie Robertson, maybe I just have Scorsese brain from our last draft. And I was like, yeah, they've got to recognize him. The Last Waltz, all this kind of stuff, but maybe they won't even care at all. But there are so many categories where these two are going to be nominated, and it is going to be interesting to see how it plays out the closer it gets.
I think that makes it more interesting in terms of like, because the Academy loves to multi-nominate people. They just love to recognize the same people. So I think that makes this category all the more interesting. Okay, you're gonna go with Robbie Robinson for Killers of the Flower Moon. I'm going with Ludwig for Oppenheimer. Who would have seen that our very first category I would have Oppenheimer winning on this pod?
Who would have thought?
Not me. God, yeah, both phenomenal scores. Okay, let's move on to the next one. We're doing Best Adapted Screenplay. I will give you my nominations first this round. You so graciously did it last round. I appreciate that. Okay, Best Adapted Screenplay. Of course, I've got Killers of the Flower Moon, based on the book. Oppenheimer, based on the book as well. Of course, all of these based on prior property.
I don't think we have to qualify it. That's fine.
This one's actually based on a book. Poor Things, which I haven't seen. I'm just going off of what I feel, what I hear. I've got The Zone of Interest, and then I've actually kind of got what I feel like is a little bit of a curveball, and I've got All of Us Strangers. Now, I have seen All of Us Strangers. This movie is not out yet. It is not public. It is not wide. Comes out in the middle of December, so we got about a month to go, but I was able to see this at New York Film Festival. And my take is that I think a lot of people are going to love this movie. I think a lot of people are going to connect to this movie. And it seems like it could have a really big surge in the months leading up to the Oscars. It feels like, to me, people could grab onto this and really kind of hone in and use it as like their token into the Oscars. And I feel like this is the first spot, Best Adapted Screenplay. So those are my 5. I know I did a little bit differently than you, but I do have Oppenheimer winning. Sorry, that's the first one I said, but I do have it winning in this category.
Cool. We have pretty much the same thing, including Oppenheimer winning, except instead of All of Us Strangers, this is actually where I'm putting The Killer. I have that on here for a screenplay.
Yes.
So
yes,
we'll see. I think it's a great script. It's a hilarious script. It's super funny.
It is.
Writing voiceover is difficult to do, and I think it's done really well. So, but yeah, and that Poor Thing, Zone of Interest, Killers, I got that as well. But I'm going The Killer is my curveball pick, but Oppenheimer winning.
I've also seen The Zone of Interest, which isn't out until December, and let me just tell you that screenplay is sublime.
Nice.
It is absolutely intense. So yeah, I don't see a world in which that doesn't get nominated. I love your killer pick, and that's good. I really like that. And of course, like, I think Poor Things is like the one that like people are waiting for that to come out so everybody can like get on the bandwagon and be like, it's true. Like, what everybody's saying is true. It is an Oscars darling. Like, it is going to put Emma Stone up there. It is going to fight for the best picture. Like, that's what I feel like people are waiting for, especially in a category like this. But the more that I think about it, the more that you're right. Like, the Killer must have been incredibly difficult for Fincher and team to do that and to make that happen. So I like that. I like that pick a lot. But of course, Oppenheimer is going to win. I think it's got, without a doubt, like the best bones of any movie here, in any category, any slot. Like, I think it is a movie about people talking for 3 hours, and I just don't see how that doesn't win Best Adapted Screenplay. Like, that's literally like what it's made for.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with you. I just depends on this voting body, but I do think Oppenheimer is the way to go. Yeah. What are you gonna say?
No, you just mentioned, I think it's interesting. Like, do they go with the full swing? Like, do they go with the 11 for 14? Do they go with the 12 for 14 with Oppenheimer? Like, where does this voting body see maybe a cutoff or maybe not a cutoff for this kind of movie? I think they go the way of like, this is the movie. This is the defining movie of the year. This is the defining movie of the generation. Like, I think this is what they do hold on to. And I do see it going for like 12 of 14 or 12 of 50, like whatever it's going to end up being, which would be really fascinating. Consider last year, like, Everything Everywhere broke records. Like, it did numbers. And so I think we're kind of in this new age of the Academy where they're not afraid to say, like, no, it does deserve 7 awards. Like, it was that good.
Yeah.
And I think Oppie would be the one, but I just, like, based on the original score conversation, like, it just makes me think And I know we're 5 months away from the Oscars, and I'm over here just like tinkering of like, ooh, maybe not. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes it so fun.
But there's also, play devil's advocate. There's also people who are like, we need more movies to get recognized. So maybe I'm not going to vote Oppenheimer for all 12 of these things. Like you said, Everything Everywhere won so many awards, which is great and stuff. But it's like, maybe Jamie Lee Curtis didn't deserve that. Maybe we should have given that to someone else, So I don't know. There's people that are probably going to buck against it. I think Killers of the Flower Moon, again, like having read the book and knowing how much they change, it's kind of interesting, like how much of that goes into the adaptation when it comes to this. Like, is it, okay, well, they switched it up from the book a little bit. I appreciate what they did. I'm going to vote for that. Or Oppenheimer was like, it stayed very true to the book. I'm going to respect that as well. It'll be interesting to see what people respond to.
Yeah, I'm really curious. And I think a lot of this does come down to campaigning. We haven't really mentioned yet. Bradley Cooper is really kind of the only person that I'm getting like blown up on my timeline of like, oh shit, this guy's campaigning already. Yeah. Like where he's deep. Like he's already going to Maestro screenings. He's like going to Q&As. He's doing things because he's been sitting on his hands for the last 6 months trying not to talk about a movie that he made that he's obviously so very proud of.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of potential there. What happens with Oppenheimer and even more so, I think what happens with Killers of the Flower Moon and how much like Apple is willing to sell into that, and how I think Killers of the Flower Moon has a little bit of an uphill battle when it comes to the campaigning aspect. And it makes me nervous in the weeks leading up to voting and in the months of like all of these for your consideration ads and campaigns. Like Marty likes to do stuff, but like De Niro doesn't. And like, what's Leo going to get up to? Like, he's rapping at his birthday. He's pulling a Kendall Roy. Like, I don't know where this guy's at in terms of like, let's promote the movie that I want to so desperately win an Oscar for. I just don't know if he's that checked in. And I don't know how hard Apple will try to make that potentially happen. Speaking of Marty, his TikTok videos have been elite with his daughter. So he needs to keep that energy going.
That's his campaign strategy. He's getting TikTok. Leo got his 40 mil. He doesn't give a shit anymore. But Marty's like, I'm going to get the Gen Zers here on board with me and get their parents to vote for me. So these TikToks are fantastic.
The oldest guy in the bunch figured out that he's just got to make funny TikToks with his daughter.
That's all it takes.
And that's all it takes. And now we get people interested in cinema once again. Do you have any thoughts on what I just said, the campaigning, the brands behind them, the companies behind them, people maybe not wanting to or not wanting to participate?
Dude, I mean, I don't know. Has Apple had anything in this kind of contention before? Like, it's hard to know. I know Netflix has had a hard time in the past with campaigning. I'm curious to see.
Apple won for Coda a couple of years ago, didn't they? They won Best Picture,
which was like a huge surprise. Like I don't even, and we don't know behind the scenes how much they were pushing for that. So I don't know. I'm curious to see. It's hard to tell from a brand that I don't feel has a huge history with the Oscars, but I think someone like Marty doesn't agree to work with them without some sort of like, I need you guys to push this movie for me. So I don't know. It'd be interesting. Yeah, no, I agree. And I think Universal has obviously been around longer. They know the game a little bit better. They have the funds. They already have the distribution in place. Like Apple had to distribute through Paramount. Like I think that already kind of makes things a little bit more difficult of like, they might not have the wherewithal to like withstand the 5-month Oscar season, the 5.5-month Oscar season. But yeah, I'm really interested to see what happens. And you're right. Like Coda was a complete curveball, probably down to like the day that voting ended, right? Yeah. Of like the buzz continued to grow. So I'm curious if anything will maybe replicate that this year. Let's do best original screenplay. We'll go on to our next category. Yeah. You're up. Yeah, I'll go first. Again, like a lot of these are things like I haven't seen because they just haven't been released wide. So I'm just kind of, using a lot of our friend Clayton Davis's words and his advice, I'm like, all right, cool. That kind of makes sense to me. But a couple that I have seen are Past Lives and Barbie. So I know Barbie, like they don't know if it's going to be original or adapted, but I'm throwing into original for my sake of this. Yeah, I think Gold Derby has it under original right now, and we're going to stick with that until we hear different. Yeah.
We have those two the same. We have Past Lives and Barbie the same.
Perfect. Speaking of Bradley Cooper, I have Maestro on here. I have The Holdovers, which I know you saw last night.
I did. I loved it.
And then I'm going with Saltburn because I believe Emerald Fennell has been nominated for writing before, and I could see her getting that again. So winning, I am going with Barbie, the duo. You know, I think that's a pretty solid team there. So that's what I'm going with winning.
Yeah. I love it. We're pretty much the same. We have one difference. I have Barbie winning as well. I think that, like I mentioned at the top, like original screenplay, original song, production design, costume design, maybe score. Like, I think there's certain things that I could vie for. And this seems to be, outside of costume design or production design, like this seems to be like the one that the Academy might be like, yeah, this would be the one to give it to Barbie.
Yeah.
So the only difference that I have, I did see The Holdovers last night, and I quite liked it, and I do see it getting nominated for this. I think it's really good. Paul Giamatti is sublime. I have Anatomy of a Fall in this spot here. So I do have Maestro, Past Lives, The Holdovers, Barbie winning, and then Anatomy of a Fall is the one that I differ on you. I have seen Anatomy of a Fall. It is very good. It is one of my favorite movies of the year. And I think for original screenplay, it's like a half thriller, like a half courtroom drama. And that courtroom drama doesn't work without the really intricate interweaving personal stories that all of the people tell, and like the way that the movie goes, the energy that it has. So I can easily see that being the case. I could even see that putting up a little bit of a competition. Anatomy of a Fall is a very interesting thing because like it was not selected as the best international for its country. And so where it kind of now shakes out in every other category is fascinating. But I do have it here being nominated. I just don't think it's going to win.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really speak to that or Saltburn. Like, I haven't seen a few of these, but I loved Past Lives, and I think Greta and Noah again are a great duo when it comes to original. They've been recognized before, and I could see them getting recognized again.
Where do you think for Past Lives? I'm really curious. If it's going to come up later on in the conversation, we can push it. I don't know what you have it maybe nominated for down the line, but the zone of interest is A24.
Yeah.
And I think Past Lives would really be the only A24 that we're kind of looking at in this large spread of movies, which is completely different than last year where we had Brendan Fraser winning and Jamie Lee Curtis winning and winning Best Picture and all of these things. Do you think it's got the juice? Because it came out like 7 months ago, man.
I mean, it did, and I know it doesn't have the juice of everything everywhere, but again, I believe at least for nominations, these voting bodies are kind of broken up by their specialty, and I think the writers will recognize Past Lives and just how good it is. So I'm hopeful that it's got the juice to live on, but I know there's a lot coming up that we still haven't seen that's probably going to be worth it as well. But maybe that was more of a I hope versus I actually think it'll be their pick. But I am who I am. I just gotta be true to myself.
Okay, Sam. This is not the last time we'll talk about Past Lives. I'll just kind of quantify it at that.
I agree with that.
Best Supporting Actress. I'll go first. I will actually read my winner last this time. I'll follow the rules.
Follow your heart. That's what I want you to follow.
Okay, so I've got Jodie Foster for Nyad. I've got Danielle Brooks for The Color Purple. I've got Divine Joy Randolph for The Holdovers, which could be an interesting wrinkle in this race. And then I've got, and this is again, this might be a little wrinkle here for me. I've got Viola Davis for Air.
Okay.
And then winning, I have Emily Blunt in Oppenheimer.
Gotcha.
Now, I know the Emily Blunt conversation, saga, drama, what have you, around her part in Oppenheimer is warranted and justified, and I still think it does deserve an award, not only necessarily because of her ability in that role, which from what I've heard is like very true to life of how she was. Like she was just a bitter drunk wife. There could be more nuances there that I'm not aware of. I have not read the book, but I think the weight that she holds in the film, especially in the final 20 minutes, when she is deposed, quote unquote deposed, it's not a court, but when she makes that speech, and especially in the end when she is aged up and she does not like denies Teller the handshake. Like I think there's certain things about her character that really qualify her as kind of like the above and beyond winner of this category in my eyes.
I mean, yeah, it's a great performance with little screen time.
Yeah.
We've seen that in supporting roles before, namely Anthony Hopkins. So I know this is no Hannibal Lecter performance, but it's still very powerful with the screen time that she does have. You and I have almost the same list. Instead of Viola Davis for Air, I have Julianne Moore for May December.
Okay. Yeah.
That's the only switch, but
I'm happy with that.
I do have Divine Joy Randolph winning for The Holdovers.
Oh, okay. This is interesting.
Yeah. Again, but this is, I've only seen Oppenheimer out of all these. I haven't seen May December, Nyad, Color Purple, or Holdovers. So these are all guesses, just trying to make educated guesses here.
Have you seen Air?
No, I haven't seen Air.
You haven't seen Air?
No.
Come on. It's like my third favorite movie of the year. I love Air.
Yeah. Your favorite's Oppenheimer. That doesn't mean anything to me. Yeah, I mean,
I'm just trying to get people to see more movies, Ben. You included,
I appreciate it. The 7th best Nolan movie, Oppenheimer.
Tough feat for our draft here. Divine Joy Randolph is an interesting contest to me because, like we said, the Oppenheimer blowout could work against this movie. It could it could end up doing the flip-flop. It could end up doing like best picture, loses director, best score, loses adapted. Like we could start doing some really big trade-offs here. And I think the most at-risk trade-off is Emily Blunt for Divine Joy Randolph. I saw The Holdovers last night, and that was literally my first thought out of the movie is like, how hard is she campaigning? Because they need to get behind her. They need to campaign. Like Focus Features needs to give her some money to do this, send her around the town and let her just be this enigmatic light that she is, because she's incredible in that movie. Really, really good. And I think her scenes in particular hit me the hardest because what she brings to the screen. So that could really be out there. That could end up being the favorite. Curious as we go along and make our predictions as the season continues, if that locks down at all. But I think this race will stay up in the air until the end.
Yeah. Was that an air pun? Is that why you said that?
No, but that was really smart.
It was
I'm a genius.
It was really good. The unintended
that was
genius.
Really good.
Yeah.
Okay. Best supporting actor. Let's do it. This one is interesting too. Am I up first or you up first?
You're up first. Yeah.
Okay.
So De Niro with Killers, just for those glasses alone.
God, I love the glasses, the owl glasses.
Ruffalo for Poor Things. This is a personal pick. I obviously haven't seen it. You might be able to speak to this better than I could, but Paul Mescal for All of Us Strangers. I'm throwing him in there. Downey Jr. for Oppenheimer, and I'm giving it to Baby Goose in Barbie. I think Ryan Gosling is who I'm hoping wins.
Oh, interesting. Okay, wait. Can you say your picks one more time?
Yeah, De Niro for Killers of the Flower Moon. Paul Mescal, All of Us Strangers. Ruffalo, Poor Things. Robert Downey Jr., Oppenheimer. Gosling, Barbie.
Okay, this is interesting. You think Gosling's going to take it?
I hope.
Academy Award winner Gosling.
I
would love nothing more. I mean, that's my guy. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm hoping happens.
I hope the best, and I hope if he does win, he gets up there and he just canifies the whole thing. And
I love it.
I think that'd be fantastic. Here's what I've got. So, I differ a little bit from you. I do have Ryan Gosling in this mix. I do not have him winning. I have Willem Dafoe and Mark Ruffalo also in here for Poor Things. I think they're going to split the vote, and I think that's just life. And I don't see either one of them winning.
We're doing the favorite here with Olivia Colman and Emma Stone.
Exactly.
And,
yes.
Rachel Weisz.
And then I have in here Sad Boy John Magaro getting a nom for Past Lives.
That might be
more of wishful thinking, but I think for Best Supporting Actor, this could shake things up. And we've been saying it here in the pod for the last 6 months. That seems to be a deserving role, a deserving part, especially in that film. And then I have winning Robert Downey Jr. for Oppenheimer. I think this is his race to lose. And I think as we start getting higher up the ladder for Best Actor, Director, Best Picture, I do think it's mostly Oppenheimer's to lose at this point in time. And I think this category is no different. The story behind RDJ, I think, is going to play a huge push for him as well, because he dedicates 15 years of his life to the MCU. He used to make really good movies that were Oscar nominated, and then not so much. And now he's back making cool shit, and he's doing really, really good acting, and he's saying things like Nagasaki, like really powerful. So I think he's got the juice. But I would love to see Magaro nommed. I just think that would be phenomenal.
I think it'd be sweet. I'm curious, do you think there's any of the other 40 white guys in Oppenheimer that are going to split the vote with him? Like, I know there's mention of like Matt Damon and stuff like that. Like,
yeah. If it's going to be anybody, it's going to be Damon. But I don't think Universal / Oppenheimer, like the group, like I just don't think they're that dumb to play a split vote. I just doesn't really ever shake for the guy that you want. So why would you split a vote when you can like just submit RDJ and be like, cool, everybody else is going to duke it out. Ryan Gosling's probably our stiffest competition. We'll get Poor Things to split the vote between them. They both get nommed. Who cares? And then Magaro, he doesn't really have a shot, but like let's get someone else in the mix that's not in Oppenheimer, right? So like I think that's how it plays out and how it shakes. I think that would be a really cool story. Like, I think it would be really cool to see Robert Downey Jr. up there accepting an Academy Award for Strauss in Oppenheimer. I think he deserves it. I really do.
I mean, this is the one where it was what I want versus what I think is going to happen. I want Gosling to get it, but I know they don't recognize comedy like they do drama. So I see RDJ, like once we do our final like picks for the Oscars, I'm going to go with RDJ, but I just wanted to talk about Gosling. Yeah. Okay. But my goal, I would love for Gosling to win it, but if I'm betting money, I'm putting it on RDJ. But I think I like what Gosling did with Barbie more than what Downey Jr. did with Oppenheimer.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. That's totally fair. To be honest, here's the thing too, for me, I've seen Oppenheimer 5 times and I've seen Barbie once. So like I'm Oppie pilled. Like that's what I think about when I go to sleep. Yeah. I don't think about like, oh yeah, Ryan Gosling was great in like that one moment of Barbie. Like I know he was, and I know there's so many great moments for Gosling, and like I would love, nothing more than like my guy to win it. Like RDJ makes good shit. He's not my guy. Like, yeah. But I just don't see that shaking out that way. I don't see that happening. And I always think Best Supporting Actor is like really interesting when it comes to that. And that's why I think Magaro can get a nom here. That's where I think like this is where the Academy can take that opportunity to be like, let's recognize something else, because let's be honest, we kind of know who's going to win. Like that's the way I think it's going to go. Yeah. Might not go that. Like it totally might not. But I think the team behind Oppenheimer is smart enough to play into that and to lay that on really thick for that voting body.
I think what we've established, like you and I spoke, we were just like talking yesterday, and the way you feel about the Marvels, I understand why you don't think about Barbie, because you just hate women, and we've come to that conclusion. You're
canceling me on the pod? Yeah. God, the truth gets out.
So now everyone knows that Ethan just hates women. That's why he doesn't think about Barbie at all.
Sick. My career's ended before it even began.
It's all over.
It's all over.
No, I totally get what you're saying. Like I agree with you. Like I've admitted it. Like I think RDJ is going to win. I just enjoy what Gosling did more with that movie. I feel like Oppenheimer is still a successful movie if you remove RDJ, whereas Barbie I don't think is as successful if you remove Gosling.
Oh, that's an interesting conversation. That's very interesting. I semi-agree, but of course I have to disagree, because I really do not think Oppenheimer has a core without RDJ. Like I just don't think if you have somebody without his like voracious tenacity that he brings to the screen, I don't think Oppenheimer works like kind of at all. Yeah. Of course you have Cillian on the other side, but like you have that entire fission story that is all built around RDJ and like his comeuppance. And while I don't think Barbie works the same without Ryan Gosling, like I think Barbie as a whole is still Barbie. Like I think it's just a lesser impact. So your theory was right. I do hate women, and that proves it.
Yep, there we go.
Great.
It's solved.
Awesome.
You admitted it. I'm glad we can just like clip that out for the promo
soundbite for eternity right there.
Yeah.
Great. I feel really good about that. Okay. Let's move on.
Speaking of hating women, let's go to lead actress.
Best actress. We're skipping over this category, right? Like I
figured you didn't even fill it out, so I can give mine if you
want. Best leading actress. So I did want to bring up one point. Caleb Garrett Jeter, who listens to the pod, great fan of the pod, tweeted at us. He still has Greta Lee as the front runner for this category.
I dig it.
Do you want to talk about that right now, or do you want to table that for after we give our nominations?
Well, I'll table it till we give our nominations because it won't be the last we talk about Greta Lee.
Oh, interesting. Oh, okay. Very cool. Am I giving nominations first?
Yeah. I mean, if we're going back and forth.
Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Best actress. Ooh, this is tough. Now that I'm looking at my lineup, I'm doing a little bit of tinker play on the fly.
Yeah.
This makes me nervous. Margot Robbie for Barbie. Sandra Hüller for Anatomy of a Fall. Carey Mulligan for Maestro. She seems to be campaigning pretty hard already as well. I've got, and this is where things are really, really a toss-up. I've got Emma Stone for Poor Things. I've got Lily Gladstone winning for Killers of the Flower Moon.
Nice.
I haven't seen Poor Things. I have seen Killers of the Flower Moon twice. I think, especially on a rewatch of that film, her role is immense.
Yeah.
She is sidelined a bit in the movie. Of course, she's bedridden with sickness. That's reality, though. That happened. So there's not much you can do to get around that. I have heard that it's really Emma Stone's Academy Award to lose. If she's going to lose, it's going to be to Lily Gladstone, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that Emma Stone can't campaign well, because I'm sure she's going to campaign the shit out of this movie, because like she has The Curse coming out. I'm sure she's going to be in front of cameras, like doing cool stuff.
Yeah.
Lily Gladstone looking fucking good on the cover of Variety. Let's just put that out there. So I think that's a hard decision. I'm going to go with my heart. I'm going with Lily Gladstone as the winner. This will be, in my opinion, this will be the race to watch for the rest of the season.
Nice. Yeah, I think this is the most interesting one for me as well. I've got Margot for Barbie, obviously Lily for Killers. I do have Greta Lee for Past Lives. And I have Kaylee Spaney for Priscilla.
Ooh, I like that.
But I do have all of them losing to Emma Stone in Poor Things.
So you do not have do you have Lily Gladstone in there? Did I hear you?
Yeah, she was the first one. Lily Gladstone for Killers.
Sorry.
So I don't have Carey Mulligan, and I don't have whoever was for Anatomy of a Fall.
Sandra Hüller. Yeah,
that's where we split. Where I have Greta Lee and Kaylee Spaney. So I'm just going again. Like I think Lily's performance is marvelous. Like I think it's a really good performance. But like you said, she's unfortunately sidelined. And from the little that I know about Poor Things, I mean Emma Stone just like carries this movie. Right. And it might be another, like, we need to recognize what she's done. So let's give it to her.
Here's where I think the conversation diverges for Poor Things. From what I've heard, again, this is like, we're just speculating here. We're both going to see it when it comes out at the end of the year. And we have, I mean, if it gets nominated for Best Picture, I'm sure it will. We'll end up talking about it. The whole, like, this movie's not my cup of tea thing for the Academy. Poor Things might fall into that, and because it is kind of this interesting, revamped, modernized telling of like a female Frankenstein-esque person who is discovering their sexuality, and it is very graphic, it is very sexual positive, it is all of those things that like the old guard probably doesn't identify with, and like probably doesn't see what we see, what us viewers on the outside see. So that's where I think things could kind of veer off for Poor Things, but I don't know. I could just be like talking out of my ass. That's where I feel like Lily Gladstone has the ability to jump, and they're like, Killers of the Flower Moon, Lily Gladstone, first time on the camera, like, you know, she is more representation for the Academy. She is a first time nominee. She is potentially a first time winner. Like, I think there's a lot of important precedents there, and it gives the Academy another chance to soft recognize a Scorsese film, which they have continued to fail to do. So do they feel that guilt? I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, all the stuff about Poor Things is valid. And again, we haven't seen the movie, but again, last year they did give the award to a woman who was in a butt plug fight in her movie.
This is true.
I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I think that they are able to kind of like, but I think it seems like the sexual nature of Poor Things is a lot more intense than it was in Everything Everywhere. But I can't hold it against them for weirdness. You know, I think they might be able to recognize it, but I think Kaylee Spaney and Greta Lee are deserving. I think those are both like, I hope they get nominated. Like, you know, kind of like Stephanie Sue kind of thing. Like, oh, I really hope, like, I know that she's not going to win, but I hope at least the Academy recognizes it. And I think they both deserve it. I haven't seen Maestro or Anatomy of a Fall, so I can't speak to it being more deserving, but going off of what I have seen, I love their performances.
Sandra Hüller's good in Anatomy of a Fall. I'll just say that. She's really good. I'm excited for you to see that film. Kaylee Spaney is very, very good in Priscilla. And I think that opens a door for A24 to figure out where they want to go. Like, let's game out what you have. Like, if Greta Lee and Kaylee Spaney both get nommed in that category, I find it difficult for A24 to put half the chips behind each. Like, I think they just go full chips on one person. Who's that going to be? Like, who would that be in your instance? Like, if A24 could only say, like, we're really going to promote the shit out of one person and the other person up to their own devices, who do you think they go with?
Spaney, mainly due to the Coppola connection.
Yeah, Coppola squad.
Yeah, I think that they throw it behind Sophia, and in a way,
the Academy
Francis
does like
Ford.
Sophia.
Yeah.
They love Sophia.
So I think if A24 had to choose, I think that's who they would go behind. But I don't know. In a perfect world, they would just split it 50-50. But yeah.
Yeah, okay. We'll see what happens. That's Best Actress. Let's go to Best Actor.
All right. Bradley Cooper.
This is where I have some interesting picks in this category.
I'm excited to hear.
I feel like I have a good left hook pick, but maybe I don't. I don't know.
We'll see. Who knows? Cooper with Maestro.
Uh-huh. We have that the same.
Nice. Jeffrey Wright, American Fiction.
Yes.
Leo, Killers of the Flower Moon.
Yes.
I do have winning Cillian Murphy with Oppenheimer.
Uh-huh. As do I.
And then here's my pick.
Are we 5 for 5? This could be good.
Joaquin Phoenix, Napoleon.
No.
Oh,
we were so close.
So close. So close. That's what I have. I think Joaquin coming off the Oscar win and stuff.
Yeah.
Like I know it's going to be coming out soon, and there hasn't been a ton, about his performance necessarily from what I've read, but I don't know. It just seems weird for them to like leave him off. They love a historical biopic,
Yeah.
And they love Joaquin. So it kind of seems like, can you imagine though, if we had like Leo and Joaquin up there together again, like Jeffrey Wright, fantastic actor,
Wild.
Bradley Cooper, Cillian Murphy, it'd be fantastic.
Yeah, it'd be fantastic. Napoleon First Reactions dropped last night.
Yeah.
I think the premiere, the LA and the Paris premiere was last night. Did you get a chance to see any of these first reactions?
They seem very split.
They do seem exceptionally split.
Yeah.
I'm really, really interested to see how the Academy picks this up. And I will say, like, I have a fifth spot that I think has a better shot, but I can see your point. Like, I can see the Academy saying, like, yeah, historical epic, Ridley Scott, we love those things. Joaquin's coming off the win. Like, let's get him back in the mix. Like, I could totally see that happening. So I match with you on pretty much everything. I have Leo, Bradley Cooper, Jeffrey Wright. Leo for Killers of the Flower Moon, Bradley Cooper for Maestro, Jeffrey Wright for American Fiction. I do have Cillian Murphy winning for Oppenheimer. Again, like, I think this, if there was a race where something is the out and out front runner, this is that race for me. This is Cillian's Academy Award to drop the ball, to lose. I don't see how that happens, especially now. Like, Oppenheimer came out 3 months ago, and like, the fervor is as intense as ever for Cillian winning. So I just don't see that happening. The fifth spot that I have that I think is going to happen, I really do think this is going to happen. Andrew Scott for All of Us Strangers.
Okay.
You went with Paul Mescal for supporting for All of Us Strangers. I am going to go the opposite way. Andrew Scott in this movie, just thinking about this movie, I'm just like, I need to go cry. I need like some time to myself. I need to think about life and relationships and time and these things. Andrew Scott is so fucking good in that movie that if he doesn't get recognized, I'll be a little suspicious of like what the Academy didn't see in that performance. It could fall under like this Poor Things umbrella of like, it is out and out overtly sexual. It is about a gay relationship, but it's also about like a parental relationship and like moving through grief and through time. So I think it's got a lot of the components, and I would love to see his name nominated up there. Of course, I don't think he has a shot to win, but I think he's hot to get nommed. Yeah.
Nice. I like that. Yeah, I think this is, like you said, this Cillian Murphy for Oppenheimer. If I had to do one bet, if my life depended on it, for these top awards, like this would be it. He seems like a lock. Heard great things about Jeffrey Wright in American Fiction, so I'm hoping he gets some recognition. And Bradley Cooper, I think it might be another Star is Born thing where he just gets nominated for a bunch of shit and loses everything. But he's a great actor.
How insane would it be if we're watching the Oscars? It's like best actor. Like, here's our 5 nominations. Like, cool, awesome. Everybody's feeling good about Cillian and all this kind of stuff, and they're just like, Leonardo DiCaprio, Killers of the Flower Moon. Like, what would you do, Ben? Because I know what I would do.
Dude, I have no idea. What would you do? What would your response be?
I'd just be like, even like saying that out loud, I'm just like gobsmacked. I'm just like, what? Where the fuck did we go wrong?
Yeah.
Where have we veered off into in society where we got this wrong? That's not like Leo's not good in that movie, but like, come on, guys. You know? I'd be a little stunned.
Without a doubt, I would be shocked. This seems like Cillian's to lose.
This could be interesting too on the awards trail, on the campaigning trail. Sometimes this does happen where other actors are like subliminally supporting other actors, and I think this could be the category for it. So like, Andrew Scott gets nominated, Jeffrey Wright gets nominated. That's great. They go on the campaign trail. They start promoting their movie. American Fiction, is coming out in 5 weeks. Jeffrey Wright's going to start talking about stuff. We get closer to Oscar time, we get closer to voting time, and he could be out there saying like, wow, I hope I get nominated, blah, blah, blah. But like, have you seen Oppenheimer? Cillian Murphy's really great.
Yeah.
Like that is not unknown to happen. And I feel like if anybody's going to rally, if there's a group of people that are going to rally around one guy, like this would be the category where that happens, where people just like really ensure the push for one fella.
Cooper's not doing that. There's no way. But the rest of them
Cooper fights hard, brother.
Yeah. He's gonna call out every flaw in that movie.
Yeah. Like, you know what? I just think Cillian Murphy got this part wrong. And you know what I got right about Leonard Bernstein was? Let me tell you where I went right.
The nose. That's what it is.
The nose. Okay, we have 2 left. Best director, best picture. These are the big guns here. Am I up or you up? I literally can't remember.
You're up, but I'll go if you want. It doesn't matter.
No, I'm ready. I'm good. Here's what I've got. And this is a little standard. This is where, to me, I think best director is less of a toss-up. I think there's like less things that could maybe go awry. I have Jonathan Glazer for The Zone of Interest. I think The Zone of Interest in particular is going to be a bigger contender than I think a lot of people are guessing it's going to be.
Yeah.
Greta Gerwig for Barbie, of course. I love women. She's in the mix. Best picture. Or best director. Yeah, of course. Yorgos Lanthimos, Poor Things. Martin Scorsese, Killers of the Flower Moon. I do have Christopher Nolan winning Oppenheimer. I want to hear your nominations, but I think this kicks off the conversation of, do they split? Does Oppenheimer and Killers of the Flower Moon split picture and director?
I'll tell you what. We did it. We finally got the same nominations.
Hey,
those are my 5 as well, with Nolan winning for director.
Nice. We're actually best friends.
Yeah,
That's
look
so
at
cool.
us. Look at us. We love women. I think this is Nolan's to lose. I mean, I give Oppenheimer a lot of shit, but it's a really well made movie, and I think he deserves it as much as I love Barbie, as good as Killers of the Flower Moon is. And I'm assuming Zone of Interest and Poor Things are going to be great as well. But this to me is like, it's Nolan's to lose. He's proven himself to be just a wonderful director over his entire career. And this kind of seems to an extent, kind of like the magnum opus of just like, I've taken every technical skill that I have and I've put it into one movie here.
Yep.
Like, you guys need to recognize this.
Yeah, I totally feel the same way. And I think the Academy might interpret that in a very positive light and say like, oh, you're right, it is your time. Like you do finally deserve to win some awards, some recognition, not just for this, but like, let's be honest, like we gotta give the guy some recognition for creating the 10 slot Best Picture. Like, this guy made it happen. Like, he's the reason. So I think there's some precedence there as well. Again, the conversation of like, does it split director and picture? Do we go Oppie for picture and Scorsese for director? Like, does the Academy feel like that's warranted? I think that's 100% in play.
Yeah.
If that happens, and I know they do director and picture at the end of the show, but if that happens, I think either way, whoever wins Best Director, they call out Christopher Nolan's name, we know Oppenheimer is winning Best Picture. I think if they also call out Scorsese's name, we also know that Oppenheimer is going to win Best Picture, because I just don't see them going Killers of the Flower Moon down the slate. It just, to me, doesn't make sense.
So if there is a split, it's Scorsese getting director with Oppenheimer getting picture.
Getting Best Picture. Mind. I don't think it reverses, right?
You don't think Nolan could get director with Killers getting Best Picture?
I just don't think so.
Okay, cool.
I just from the momentum that Oppenheimer has, I think what probably they're going to lay into it campaigning wise, like I just don't see that happening.
Gotcha.
And especially like the story around that movie being such a precedent. I just think that it goes all or all -1.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I have, Nolan taking this. It's weird to put anybody above Scorsese.
It's so weird,
but
it's so grimy. It's like, oh yeah, Christopher Nolan, like you made a better movie than Scorsese. It's like, ugh, did we turn into like a culture of film bros?
Yeah, it's kind of weird to say, but I'm with you. I've got it on there. But I really hope Greta gets recognized for what she did, because
yes.
what she made with Barbie was fantastic.
Yep, highly agree. Okay, Best Picture. This is the big guns.
Here we are.
This is the one, the 10 slaughter. Again, Caleb Garrett Jeter got at us. He said he's got Oppenheimer over Killers of the Flower Moon for Best Picture. So that's what he's guessing out there. Let that sink in a little bit. I'm exceptionally curious to see how many we match on. I think for me, this is my biggest toss-up. I know I have some curveballs here and there in other categories, but I think this is like the biggest toss-up, considering I haven't seen almost half of these movies.
My guess is we have 4 in common.
4, that's it?
Yeah.
You think we this? Okay. Well, I would love to hear yours. Okay.
Okay. Start from the bottom.
Now we're here.
Napoleon.
No, I don't have that.
Zone of Interest.
I do. Yes.
Okay. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
Oh no. Ooh, okay.
Maestro.
Uh-huh.
Poor Things.
Uh-huh.
Past Lives.
Yes. That's 4.
Wow. Okay. I was wrong. I was really wrong.
I think we've got more than that.
American Fiction.
No. This is where I take a left, take a swerve.
Barbie.
Yes.
Killers.
Yep.
And then Oppenheimer winning. So we had 7?
So we had 7.
Okay.
We have a winner. We have a winner in common as well.
So what do we have? The Napoleon, Spider-Verse, and what's the other one?
You said American Fiction.
Okay, American Fiction.
So while I do think American Fiction is going to be nominated, like my heart of heart, like my brain says, yes, American Fiction is going to be nominated. Like it's got the buzz, it's got everything that going for it. I'm trying to swerve a little bit, and I'm taking Past Lives in that slot. So I do have Past Lives. I've got The Color Purple.
Okay.
That's where we differ. Now, this movie is not out. Nobody has seen this movie. Screeners do not exist for this film, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah. But
it is a retelling of a Steven Spielberg film, which is like a classic musical in the Hollywood world. And this is executive produced by Spielberg as well. So I think there's a lot there. And I do have The Color Purple showing up in a couple other categories for, like, I think supporting actress as well. So I think that could happen. I've got The Zone of Interest. We knew that. Anatomy of a Fall.
Okay.
I really do think this gets into Best Picture. I think it is not in Best International Feature. I think this is where it's going to end up slotting in. The movie's far too good to go unrecognized for Best Picture. Maestro we had in common. The Holdovers.
The Holdovers. Okay.
That's my other one as well. I've got Barbie, Poor Things, Killers of the Flower Moon, and Oppenheimer winning. The Holdovers, I think, I feel like it's a pretty good lock for a Best Picture. It's feel good. It's a holiday movie. It's about found family. It's about getting over trauma and generational grief. Like, I think it sounds sad, and it is sad, but it's also like comforting and warming and familial. Like, I think there's a lot there going for it. So that's the 10 that I feel good with right now on November 15th. When we make our first Oscars show in January, it could be blown up. I think the only sure things, and we should have this conversation because it is up to us to predict 3 movies that are definitely going to be nominated so we can cover them in time.
Yeah.
One a week leading up to the Academy Awards. Of course, Oppenheimer. Killers of the Flower Moon. I know we had some other ones that matched, like Maestro and Barbie. I feel like Poor Things is that other lock. I feel like it's that third definite. And it could be fighting, but I just don't see how Oppenheimer loses.
Well, as far as what we cover, we could leave the third slot open to the listeners to let us know what movie they think we should cover.
Ooh, I like that.
Which we could give them 4 options that we think are going to
make it.
Yeah, I think
I like that.
Interesting.
Yeah, that could be good.
But yeah, I mean, this is Oppenheimer. I feel like, Killers, again, it's like, it feels weird to talk about a Scorsese movie and be like, it wasn't the best movie of the year. But I don't know. What Oppenheimer achieved was pretty spectacular. But again, I hope things like Past Lives and Barbie get recognized. Spider-Verse might be a dream, obviously it'll be there for animated, but I do think it was just a fantastic film. I had to put Napoleon just for the Ridley Scott factor. I don't know that he gets as much love as he has in the past, but is he older than Scorsese, Ridley Scott? Like, I think he
old,
might
man.
be. So talk about guys that are still doing it, he's 85 years old. He was born in 1937.
1937. The way when you say it like that, I'm like, wow, this dude's 200 years old.
Sounds crazy, right? Yeah, he's 5 years older than Scorsese. Scorsese's 80.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's the cutoff. Once you go past 85, no TikToks.
That's it.
So,
no more TikToks. Yeah.
That's how we know.
That's what Ridley needs to get on. He needs to get his grandchild on TikTok.
Ridley is doing a pretty good job, I will say, going around right now, just like giving 0 fucks about anything.
I love it. Sounds like Adam Driver's kind of doing the same, which is great.
It does. I love that.
Yeah, I think that's awesome.
We need that energy. Okay, so we both have Oppenheimer winning Best Picture. I feel good about that. I feel good about our predictions. I like our personal picks, and I also like our scores. Yeah. I think we came up with a pretty good list.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. It'll be fun to go back to this once they give nominations and see what we got right and what we did.
Yes.
I think that's something we should do on our live nominations reaction pod.
Yeah, definitely. We should do that because last year we did get the Brian Tyree Henry nomination correct. And we felt pretty good about that. Yeah. A24 for Causeway. So I think I'm trying to justify myself of like, oh, yes, this could be like Andrew Scott for All of Us Strangers. Like that seems plausible. But yeah, I like all these. I'm really excited to watch the movies that I haven't seen yet. Like, exceptionally excited for Poor Things, The Color Purple, like Maestro. I think there's some really good stuff in the bunch. And like in 5 weeks, we are going to have a lot better of an idea of what's kind of coming down the pipeline. Still, my biggest question out of this exercise is, what does the campaigning trail look like for which movies? How invested are certain people going to be in promoting their product after not doing it for 6 months? It seems like it's high tide for people to go all in. Leo might not.
Yeah.
Robert De Niro might not. Like, there just might be things that just like don't materialize. So I'm really interested in that.
Me too. It's going to be, I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see what movies push and what movies are just like, I can't blame Leo or De Niro's being like, I don't feel like doing it. Like they
not
got
for
what
me.
they needed. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, it's fine.
They got that Apple money, dude.
Yeah. Like Marty's out there.
I do like money. I like that money.
So yeah, I think it'll be really interesting to see who starts to really campaign here. But yeah, we've got Oppenheimer taking a lot of things, and I think that'll hold true.
I'm fucking jacked. I'm probably gonna watch Oppenheimer another 5 times between now and when we cover it on the show. So it might be in double digits by the time we get to covering Oppenheimer. Do we want to cover? I know it's a surefire, but like, do we want to cover Oppenheimer first? That seems like we're letting the hot air out of the balloon a little early.
Yeah, I mean, you tell me. I don't know if you'll be able to keep your excitement up for any of these other movies if we do Oppenheimer first.
No,
so,
I will check out for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, it's coming out on release next week, so I think it's just
dude. I texted you and I was like, when do you think Best Buy will have the Steelbook in person? When do I go? How do I get this?
Yeah, yep.
I gotta have it. Yeah, I feel good about this exercise. I'm very excited for the Oscars. And I'm excited that we're covering it again here on the show. We're going to have 10, 12, 13 weeks of talking about it and postulating about what could potentially happen. And I think that's what makes the Oscar season so fun. Even if it is 5 months or 5.5 months, a lot of people say it's too long. You know what? Maybe it's not long enough. That's what I say.
It might not be. I don't know. I'm excited about it. I think those are, some of the best episodes that we did last year. So I think it's gonna be fun, and it's exciting to think about the cool guests that we're gonna have on to talk about these movies. It's always fun to have those people on.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be fun. Next week on the pod, we're drafting.
Yeah, we are
back at it. We have a couple more drafts in the pipeline. We've got this one locked and loaded. We've got one more after that, and then we'll see where we go from there. Drafts are very fun on this show, hence why we keep doing them. We've got our very first 4-person collaborative draft. Leave it to good old Stevie Spielberg. We're going full circle with this episode here, coming back to the man, the myth, the legend. And we draft 14 of his best movies, favorite
13.
movies.
Yeah, 13 of his
13 of them
of his movies.
Let's just leave it at that. It's been pre-recorded. We know the outcome right now. Hence why we are being so interesting about what might be coming down the show. So that's coming out next week. It's very, very exciting. Make sure you tune in for that because it's the most unhinged draft I've ever been a part of, and I've been a part of a lot of movie drafts.
I mean, there was a pick where all of us, including the person who picked the movie, lost their mind, and it was insane. I don't think anybody can predict the movie that gets picked or just at what spot either. So it's kind of it is he's
madness.
Not exaggerating when he says it's unhinged. Like I know you want to do like debate, like, oh, you gotta check it out. It's like, for real though, this
no,
one,
but for real, this is insane.
Crazy. Like what happens. It's so good. But yeah, check it out. It's one of my favorite things that we've done. I love Spielberg, and the draft was a lot of fun. So but for now, let us know what you thought about our predictions for the Oscars. Are you excited for the Academy Awards? Obviously, we are. We're looking forward to getting back to 24 Minutes of the Oscars. Follow us. We're on Twitter and Instagram at 24 Minutes of A24. Same name on YouTube. Find us there and subscribe to us. You can watch us talk about these movies. It's a ton of fun. And we just love, connecting with everybody as well. And if you want to become a patron, we do have a Patreon pod called 24 Minutes of Not A24, where we cover movies that are not in the A24 canon. Right now, we are covering Ridley Scott. We're getting ready for Napoleon. And then we're going to end the year with Mr. Michael Mann himself, getting ready for Adam Driver and
the
Ferrari.
action is the juice, baby.
Yes, it is. So if you want to support us there, feel free. But either way, thanks so much for listening to us. We appreciate it. I am Ben Lawhorn.
And I am Ethan Simi. Spring break forever, bitches.